Good morning. Emma, Leda, Evelyn, Miranda, Amor, Joan, Ramana, Gina, Terry, Eva, Roxy, Martin, Roxana, Bella, Kiran, Shelley, Vicky. Just missing you all. I'm unable to see you in person in the classroom. I hope we can meet each other in the classroom, maybe sometime in this semester. Good morning, Mia. Well, what I can see, 21 students are able to view my screen. That's the count what I can see. Well, please type yes if you can hear me and view my screen. Well, thank you, Martin. That's, I can confirm that there is no problem with the microphone or internet in my home this morning. So this is week number, could be 7. So this week, what we have planned or proposed to practice or familiarize, or it could be refamiliarize on these concepts for about 90 minutes. Communication strategy at the workplace, writing good claims, warrant and evidence. So what I can see, there are 3 primary components of Toulmin argumentation as a strategy. Now what we have, communication strategy at the workplace. Let me help you what I have that in my mind. Well, strategy, communication at the workplace. As far as my understanding and experience for about 8 years, at the workplace, we communicate more with writing and less with the speaking, because a strategy that is required when you express your opinion or your ideas to your supervisor or to your leader, it should be effective when it comes to writing. So that's what a workplace communication. So workplace communication sounds writing. Writing should be effective when we revise our ideas, applying a strategy. So a strategy, what we call, it's a Toulmin framework. So this week we are refamiliarizing writing a good claim, writing warrant and evidence, or understanding evidence and what sounds a good warrant when it comes to writing or speaking. So our ultimate goal is to persuade people at the workplace. That's what we are learning, and once we have learned, we perform in the classroom, and we learn from one another among the classmates, and we get feedback from the teacher. Therefore, we experiment our learned knowledge since high school and here in the university. There is some kind of an integration. We integrate the knowledge from the high school till today. And what we do in the university is to perform, not is to perform the high and learn the less. If you could ask me, there is a different difference in high school and the university. As far as my understanding, my school teacher, my mom, promoted me, insisted me to get good marks, good grades, which makes me understand they focused on my knowledge than my performance. They want to test my knowledge, marks given based on the knowledge. If as 10 out of 7, if I get, I'll get 7 marks, and I was graded what proficient I am with the knowledge. Then worrying about my performance, where in the university, maybe from my course, it's not my course, it's the course I'm instructing, English debate. You are graded not only for your correct marks but also your incorrect marks. So performance is graded as a combination of your right and wrongs together. If you make mistake, you will be graded for this. If you write something correct, you will be graded for this. So performance, what it matters, that you initiate and you commit mistakes and learn from mistakes, then come forward to perform again in the upcoming few weeks. Minimize the incorrect answers or minimize the mistakes and learn from the mistakes by doing a performance. That's what we call it, practicing English debate. Every week 6 students, you will get 2 chances, 2 opportunity to perform. So trying to notice you are minimizing or you're learning from your mistake, or you are learning from your classmates, supporting one another. That is what it's happening. Therefore, I'm marking you as soon as you perform satisfactory. Well, this week we are going to learn a little new knowledge and then perform immediately. Through our performance, we will learn from one another. So you cannot do this at the workplace. At the workplace, if you commit a mistake, that's a loss of a business, or you may be losing a consumer or a customer or a client. So we don't want that to happen, because money is everything when it comes to business. We do not have opportunity to make mistakes and learn from our mistakes at the workplace. Therefore, your communication is recommended or promoted more on writing than speaking, because writing can help you to revise your information. So when you revise your draft of a letter or draft of an essay or a proposal, revising is the one big job. You can apply a strategy to revise an argument, to revise a letter or revise a proposal or an essay or a report. So when you happen to notice, how can we revise? We see, are there minimum 3 elements found in your letter, in your report. Claim, evidence, and warrant. If you are able to find it, then you have revised. What we name it? It's what we call it communication working strategy to approach your leader in a company or a manager or a supervisor to propose our ideas to increase sales or to apply for a new project or any some sort of a workplace. Any workplace, writing is the dominant way of communication. Revising is the opportunity you have in writing. So, Toolmin strategy helps you to revise. If you are capable of identifying three elements you can confirm, which helps you to persuade your listeners or readers or anyone who wants to give approval for your ideas, which helps you to answer what are you trying to prove through your letter, through your report. So that's what I mean. What we have here. Communication strategy at the workplace. So let's move on. Since writing is the dominant, therefore we will practice writing a good claim then from understanding what is claim. Right. So this is what I meant. Let's get started. I hope if you could join in, you can view the slides on your phone. So let me set 2 minutes. The one who is able to join us in 2 minutes can view the slides on your phone and participate in activities, what we call it, performance. The more you perform, the better you can learn and experience how to persuade or convince your readers or listeners. Well, there are 17 participants who have joined in. Thank you very much. Dan Rong, Xiao Hui Kao, Xu Yan Sun, and Terry, Eva, Yue Ji, John, Halida, Charles Wang, Roxana, Mingli, Yue, Hong Wang, Emma, Vicky, Martin, and Kiran Leo. Please have patience. We will wait for another 50 seconds, about 50 seconds, and then we will get started. So, well, my intention is to prepare you for the workplace, which is the real world where you have the opportunity to communicate and convey your ideas, because we are the people constantly thinking to reinvent something or innovate something at the workplace. So everybody can think and brainstorm lots of new information, because we are living in an information age, information era, so knowledge is free. But when everyone possibly can make it, but only a certain people can succeed, the one who adapt a strategy to influence people at the workplace. So that's what we are going to practice this week. Well, let's get started. Working strategy for communication skills. We have familiarized working strategy is nothing but workplace communication skills needs a strategy. The strategy named it what we call it a Toulmin framework or Toulmin model of argumentation. Okay, now I forgot one thing, but I hope I can help you as soon as you respond. See, what I can see, there are so quick answers. This should be minimized for the next question by giving an example. Now, like I told you, information is free. So there are same information in both the paragraphs, but the way initiated is different. Maybe the rebuttal, backing and qualifier, these three elements we will be practicing next week. We are familiar with claim, evidence and warrant. See, everyone are capable of gathering information from the internet, reading from books. But when it comes to a situation, when there is an opportunity comes all of a sudden, we may hesitate to initiate. We may think how to start with for about 1 or 2 to 3 minutes. It's a competitive world. If you hesitate for a minute or two, the opportunity goes to someone else. The one comes on time or initiate on time will grab the opportunity. Now, what makes us hesitate to initiate? For example, when I was in high school, when a teacher comes, when we say good morning, I always wait, let others start with, then I can go along with them. Then I happen to realize I'm kind of an introvert. I'm not dare enough to initiate a conversation or a talk. What could be the big reason or problem with me? If that was when that was a question, then I over time learned, because people initiate immediately, it's because they know what works well with them. Maybe an element. If one element is their favorite, they should begin with, then they will feel comfortable. That's what you are experiencing here. The same passage or a paragraph, but it started with initiated from rebuttal and initiated from a claim. So intuitively, what makes sense to you? Either A or B, that was the question. There is no right or wrong answer in here. So intuitively that you believe, I think it's easy to discuss on a positive side and agree on many old cars. This is what many of you believe. It's a good start to prove to answer what are we trying to prove, a claim. 8 of us came up with, no, what I'm trying to prove is my claim. I should begin as a topic sentence. I don't want to waste my time. That's what you believe. 8. So it depends upon your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your gestures, your body language. What sounds suitable for you. That's what it matters. What I can call style. Life needs a style, your communication needs a style, your information performing need a style. I'm not talking about your tone of voice and pronunciation. A style, what I mean, you persuade the audience. You see the moment the audience will wink, so that you can understand your style works. So it's because you have initiated an element that works well with you every now and then. Everywhere you speak with rebuttal. Everywhere you write, initiate writing with rebuttal or claim or evidence or a warrant. Which one fits well with you? You have to identify experimenting in your everyday situation or writing an essay. Well, let's try. The next I'm going to move on. I need you to read and ask yourself intuitively what really works well with you. Beginning with rebuttal, climb, or any other, you will have two choices. Now you have picked up one and you will have another one too, and make a mark of it if your choice is. So I'll wait for you 2 minutes. Please read carefully and then pick an answer. Let's take the polling what it goes. All right. So what we notice here, what we learn from here, many believe what I'm trying to prove my claim, trying to prove my main idea, when I start with evidence that I can feel I'm comfortable. So that's what the style of conveying or persuading an audience, because an argument, it's a combination of claim and evidence. They go hand in hand. So it should better begin with evidence. Therefore, audience will pay attention listening to me. Then I can persuade my claim easier. That's what 18 of us believe. 5 of us believe I have my personal understanding or assumption about a claim, or audience and I, we both have some understanding to persuade my claim. So I should begin with warrant. So that's what 5 of you believed. Now, so there is no right or wrong. It is an activity, or it's an opportunity to identify what is your style of communication, so that you can initiate. Do not wait for that 30 seconds or 40 seconds. If you have the information, just pick out, okay, evidence. I should start with evidence, then you can begin. Grab the opportunity. Therefore, there is no right or wrong answers. So I hope we have identified what's the most and what many of us preferred. So this we can identify our style of our communication when we revise our essay or letter or report. Let me help you revising how that looks. So draft 1, you may have relevant information, and when you revise adapting, then you should be able to identify. This is the outline of the argument: evidence, warrant, and claim. Any letter or any report or a speech draft or an essay, you should be able to find these three in your draft 1. So draft 2, identify where that is. Claims you have mentioned in conclusion or in the middle, or as a topic sentence in the first line itself. And then there are 3 other elements we will be practicing this next week. So this is what we call it: revising and identifying Toulmin model of argumentation of your speech draft or essay draft 1. Right. Well then, I hope now you have understood the purpose of Toulmin framework. Now, to make me understand, what is your intended order of Toulmin approach to your argument? To initiate, what is your style of communicating or convincing? Starting with, you can write A, B, C, D. You pick. You have 2 choices. Now pick one that the best that you can go with, or you can create something. B, A, C, D backing. Oh my God, just only one. Okay, that's not the. Everything is logic. All the 4 answers are logic. So what I expected, either A, B, C, or D. Okay, you want to start with climb. Okay, maybe I can help you understand one more time, or let me see. So instead of giving this climb data backing, which is one choice, either A, B, C, or D. Okay, well, well, let me help you understand. Well, look for an example here. See, the style of speaking or writing starts with evidence qualifier, and D started with warrant backing. Which intended order that you preferred? Let me help you with 2. See, rebuttal and backing. Sorry, rebuttal and claim. So there are 4 orders. What is your preferred order of communicating a message? So that's what is your intended order of Toulmin approach? Okay, well then, so what we see, many believed B. Okay, C, claim, evidence backing, warrant. C, right, B. Okay. Well then, let me end this. Well, this activity is to experience, to initiate a speech or an essay. What element sounds works well with you? That's what I'm trying to help you, or trying you to experience. Let me give you an example. For me, my for my tone of voice, my facial gestures, and my writing style, I usually begin with writing rebuttal, or I begin with evidence. So, so I preferably go with, I preferably initiate from rebuttal, because the ultimate goal is to persuade our main idea, what we call it, a claim. Main idea, I want to place it in the middle of a paragraph or a speech. Many Indians, many Indians, they go with intuitive feeling, and they don't want to mention their claim on the first line, but rather they use their claim to persuade as a conclusion. And some, they don't want to acknowledge itself, they don't want to mention at all, let audience get to know what I'm trying to persuade in their essay or speech. But American writers, or any American student writers, if you happen to notice, they will always place their main ideas as a topic sentence and the first line itself. They did not want to waste, or did not want to wait. They wanted to be direct as possible as they can. But Asians are intuitive people. Being direct and logic maybe sounds a bit rude to an Asian mindset than a Western culture, because language and culture goes with hand in hand. According to my culture, I mention my main idea either in the middle or at or a conclusion. So that's the key, what you are comfortable with. Let me help. Oh, okay, no problem. Never mind about answers for one question, it's okay. Okay, so this is what I hope you can understand now. Well, there is a previous question. Tell ideas. Your main idea is a claim. Where do you want to mention it in your speech? In the beginning, middle, or an end, or towards an end? That's the thing. And many of us maybe, I have problem to initiate a conversation, or to write a talk or an essay. To begin with, it's a kind of a time consuming for me. In such a situation, if I have a strategy, I can minimize my waiting time. So that's what this revising and toolman strategy helps and supports, or strengthen our argument. Now, what is an argument? Look up for an example. A teenager makes an argument that she should be allowed to have a cell phone. A teenager makes an argument she should be allowed to have a cell phone. What she is trying to prove is this: she should be allowed to have a cell phone because of emergencies, and because She needs to be able to call a ride after school. So, what we can understand, argument needs an evidence. Argument needs an evidence and a claim. That's what we can understand as an example, as a meaning of an argument. So, what we have here, an evidence and a claim. Well, having understood what is an argument, let me check what sounds the best of a claim. Which of the following is the best definition of a claim? Now, for me, it sounds, all the three sounds a claim. I agree with you, but what's the best to your understanding? I'm not trying to prove anyone right or wrong. I'm trying to learn from one another what many people believe a best definition of a claim. Let's check the polling. What it says: a statement of fact and a position that can be argued. Okay. So you have no doubt on that. All the three sounds a claim. Right. So what many people, I can learn from many of you is this: a position that can be argued, debatable idea sounds an argument, sounds a claim. Because this is a world, what we are living in a world that everyone knows everything. There is always a person in the crowd prove you wrong or may not agree with you. Well, then that's what we need to understand, a definition of a claim. So let me help you what I can help you, give you a definition of a claim from the literarydevices.com mention. So what's my this is one of the best definition what I have learned from the internet. The word claim comes from the Latin word clamor, which means to cry out or shout. Yes, the definition of a claim comes from this idea of crying out a proposition which can then be argued, verified, or disproved. There are many other contemporary definitions of claim, which is such as to assert ownership of, or to have, or to call for. However, in literature, we language and literature people, or in other words, we are the language experts. This is what I can understand. Claims have a special function of presenting the author's main ideas or opinions, which he or she can later support with more evidence. Well, having understood this definition of a claim, help me understand what should you avoid when writing a claim. Remember, there's a difference between speaking and writing, but let me check how many of us help me understand what should I avoid writing a claim. Right. So, what we can learn from one another, the more voting goes, words like I think or I feel we should better avoid when it comes to writing. So, that's what we can understand. I respect that. And six of us, they have their own perception or point of view what we should avoid writing a claim. Well, we believe in democracy, so what's the maximum that makes sense? It is true. The six of us. Now we have learned when we writing a claim, we should better avoid I think or I feel. Well, when I happened to read this, a strong claim is compelling, but I immediately wanted you to experience and enjoy the meaning or usage of the word compelling. Let me check how many of you are familiar with the term compelling. Once you have understood the meaning, you will love using it in your writing or speaking. Well, 17 of us believed the meaning of compelling, it can be supported with evidence. Now, let me check what is an appropriate meaning for the word compelling. So, 23 of us, we have learned compelling means interesting, enchanting. So, I love this vocabulary in English language, compelling. So, a strong claim should be compelling, that's what sounds effective. So, compelling, it is interesting. So, we have learned from one student. Thank you for helping us. Choose the strong claim from the choices below, because the strong claim should be compelling. That's what we have learned. And what sounds a strong claim to you? And when we write our claim, we would better avoid I think or I feel. This is what we have learned from your responses. Right. Let me check who gets. Right. 16 of us believe this. Students should not be. Sounds like a strong claim comparing the three others. But still, we have got different opinions. I respect that. This is what I call performance. You do it right or wrong, but you have the courage to do it. That's what it matters. Then we learn from, because learning from mistakes is the best method of learning any new knowledge or remembering them for a long time. Well, allow me to end this. Let's learn from what is appropriate as strong claim. So, this is what we have learned from 18 people. Maybe I can help you why this is not a strong claim. Since we are familiar, I believe that the students should be able to, it's not strong enough. I hope that, I believe that it sounds like a climb, but not strong enough. Students should be able to choose their own terms of question. This is not strong. Sometimes it would be okay, you know, intuitively that make me understand it's not strong. But whereas this is a strong claim or a main idea that is strong enough. Now, since we are familiar with a best climb or a strong climb, now look up an example. A cell phone with the internet access will help her do the homework. An example for this opinion: a teenager who wants a new cellular phone. If this is a situation or a condition, how can we convert them writing as a claim? So an example is given. Similarly, can you think and try to perform? Never mind about right or wrong. A cell phone can help students get more information on the internet. Absolutely, that's a convincing claim. For this situation, a teenager who wants a new cellular. Well, Terry, I want to buy is the question is write a possible claim. A teenager who wants, but we have practiced a cell phone with internet access make him know more knowledge, therefore it's a convincing claim. Yes, a cell phone can make students call the police when they are in trouble. Lovely. Students should be able to read kind of books through the cell phone. Yes, that's right. Mobile phone connected to the internet can help her keep up with the world news. Therefore, she can have a cell phone, right? True. A cell phone will help her communicate with others. Therefore, it makes sense she wants a cell phone. Good. A teenager should not have a new cellular phone, which will help them do her homework from the internet. That's lovely. Cell phone with internet access help her study better. Because micro world. A teenager who wants to play a game wants a cell phone. Yes, why not? Because what we need, teenagers should be engaged and away from the sick world. It's good to keep you constantly engaged playing a game. Therefore, we are escaped from anything, any sickness. Good. Does a cell phone with internet access will help her do homework? Of course, the answer is yes. Sounds like a question or kind of a hook, but what we need a claim. I mean, it's good, but write a claim following which a cell phone with the internet can communicate. She can search for lost of study. Okay, there are so many good responses. I really appreciate that. Let me stop this. The purpose is to experience that we have familiarized to write a good claim. See, what I can call this is an example of a good claim. A cell phone with signal access will help her connect with others. It sounds a good claim. Students should have their cellular phone because students are teenagers. A new cellular phone can keep in touch with his or her parents. That's true. So this is an example that we have experienced writing a good claim because to prove one main idea there are 5 elements working hard. So we should be familiar with, or we know how to draft a claim main idea as clear as we can. Therefore, we can work with warrants, because we will have some assumption about the idea, and then we will look up information and other elements. Let's take a look on it. Now, the second component, as for us, our lesson of this week, evidence. If we should understand the nature of evidence, kinds of evidence, the definition of evidence. This is one of my favorite definition. It is a piece of life. That's what an evidence. Evidence is the stuff of proof manifesting the truth on a particular facts or circumstances. Evidence is what leads us to the truth. It is a piece of life or fact, a real or tangible thing that elucidates a proposition. That's what. Evidence is what matters to persuade people, listeners, with logic. Because seeking logic with family members, with the loved ones, with friends, not a good idea. But the moment you step out of the house or at the workplace, what you see, everything is an argument. An argument needs an evidence. So understanding evidence is what really matters. Therefore, it is a piece of life. So the kinds of evidence that we have learned previously from your course book, there are three kinds of evidence: expert opinion, primary research, that your own research findings, and personal anecdote, your own experience. Sounds like an authentic incident that you wanted to share, which is relevant to prove your main ideas, to persuade audience. So there are three kinds of evidence, but there is a checklist that you can verify your idea, verify your evidence, because knowledge is free on the internet. You can collect information so much from books, from the internet, from expert opinion, but you should ask. There are 4 questions. That's really important, which helps you to provide reliable, appropriate, and convincing evidence to prove your claim. Now, there are some transitional phrases. I don't know why we cannot see this. Right. In your opinion, where do you think these phrases are useful or are used frequently? Let me check. Eva, Terry, Karen, Mia, Emma, thank you, Xuan, Liming, Vicky, Evelyn, Roxy, John. Let's check what goes high. Yes, to introduce evidence is what it matters. Therefore, these connectors or linking words or initiators will be helpful is to introduce evidence. I'm glad that you have learned well enough about evidence. Now, there is another one word I need you to learn: credible. We have learned compelling, and now we have another one new term. If you are familiar, you can perform very well. Please take it easy. Is to learn from one another. Let me check. Many of you have responded as quick as possible, but a credible sounds a new term. Could be this. What we have 13 people believe evidence we can. So remember the definition of a claim. I have given the citation retrieved from where literarydevices.com on month and date, which makes you to convince and agree with, because literary device, it's a reliable internet web page, could give you a good definition to understand a claim. But imagine you collect evidence and you give citation or acknowledge the according to Wikipedia this information, so and so. If you could say this, your audience or your opponent easily prove you wrong, because Wikipedia is an open source, which means any common man can access to the information and modify at any point of time, which sounds it's not reliable a source of evidence that you can collect from Wikipedia. Therefore, the most credible source of evidence you can collect from article, a journal article written and reviewed, maintained by experts. To write an article may consume more than 3 to 4 months, and journals have peer-reviewed experts across the world. Therefore, the most credible sources for your evidence, it would be better if you could collect it and then acknowledge the article who has written and what is the journal published on. Sounds most credible source for your evidence. Now let's see what is an evidence. Okay. Tan Rong, Liming, Martin, Evelyn, Vicky, John, Eva. So what I need you to have a basic understanding, the deeper basic understanding about evidence. So what is evidence? sounds. I just want to learn from you what many of you believe. What is evidence? Facts, statistics to support ideas or to support a claim. Well, let me end this. Since what we believe 19 people have an idea about evidence is true. So what is evidence? Facts, statistics to support ideas, because argument goes with evidence. Evidence and the claim is dealing with the logical connection to your reader or listener. So therefore we use facts and statistics. So these are the 4 or 5 questions that you can always ask and question yourself. If the answer is yes, then you can speak up or use them in your essay writing. Is the source of evidence reliable? See, Wikipedia is not reliable. It can be modified by any point of time. So the source of evidence is not reliable from Wikipedia, therefore there is no. Is the evidence consistent with the other evidence? We try to compare one evidence to other evidence is consistent within itself, or the statistics methodologically sound. So taking a survey and the methods or logically make sense. If it's yes, then you can use it. Is the expert credible? So if you treat Wikipedia as an expert that you have collected evidence, I don't think that's credible. Well, now that's what we can understand about evidence. Now what we have is to understand warrant. As you know, warrant is it's easy to guess and learn about assuming or assumption about your claim, or warrant is a relationship or a bridge between a claim and evidence. So connecting bridge is a warrant. So what sounds a good warrant when it comes to writing or speaking is this. A good warrant will be reasonable interpretation and analysis of the facts. It's how see the relationship. Facts could be evidence. Interpretation, you see the relationship, therefore it is a good warrant. A good warrant will not make illogical interpretive leaps. When there is a claim, you will have your own assumption, either good or bad. So you will come up, but you will not make illogical, because you see what evidence sounds logical or convincing. Therefore a good warrant will see the connection. Well, a good warrant will not assume more than what the evidence supports. So for example, when you see the idea in writing, you will not go beyond what the idea is trying to persuade. You just see what's your personal opinion or your reasoning about an idea. You may have a common understanding. You have the same understanding as the audience. or reader or listener may have. That's what a warrant. Well, a good warrant may consider and respond to possible counter arguments, which means we may try to answer or an assumption of an audience in our writing or speaking in the form of a warrant. Now let's learn, let's practice. Why is the warrant important? Well, thank you, Li Ming and Martin. That's a quick response. Charles Wong, Terry, Joan, Evelyn, Yueji, Lida Longpang, Roxy, Vicky, hello, Kiran, Yuji, okay, Mia. Right. Let's see the polling, what it goes. Why is the warrant important? Because it allows the audience to make the same connection the arguer does between. So now you have a better understanding. Thank you for teaching me to understand why the warrant is important. Let me end this. It's fine because we've got less time to learn and practice. Yes. Well, thank you for 17 of us, and we 4 of us have learned why the warrant is important. Now, having understood what is a good warrant, now let me check how many among us have the same opinion about, same understanding. What is a warrant? Long Fang, UJ, UAJ, I think so. So I think I'm missing you all, meeting you in person. Terry, Roxy, Charles Wong, I appreciate that. Martin, thank you, Martin. Vicky, Mia, and all others. Let me see what we can learn from. Okay, there are different kind of opinion. So, what is a warrant? Thoughtfully argued definition. Something a judge issues. See, what sounds a warrant when we have understood what is a good warrant? I appreciate that. We are capable of thinking relevant to the lesson. Allow me to end this. Therefore, we will learn from one another. Well, for this, what I can tell you, only this is not an element of a warrant, because you may have learned this from cinema, issuing an arrest warrant. So that's what makes. And all the 3 others is a warrant. I hope now we have learned what is a warrant. Warrant is the maximum people believe that is true indeed. Common sense rules that people generally accept as true, and thoughtfully argued definitions about a claim, and about talking about laws and scientific principles or studies that is relevant to the claim, sounds like a warrant. So these are good warrants, which one thing is not a warrant at all. So what we have experienced, and thank you Mia and all others for your performance. There is no your performances. So what we have practiced is uh, what we have experienced is to write a claim at the workplace. Even you can write an essay, even you can prepare a speech draft for a debate contest. That helps. It's a good start if you have the connection to read or listen, which is relevant, understanding primary components of Toulmin model. Then you can revise your essay way easier. That's what we have experienced or learned in the beginning of the lesson. Well, with this, I hope we have familiarized the outline of the argument, claim, evidence, and warrant. What is a good warrant? And I hope we have understood the evidence which is reliable and appropriate and convincing evidence.